Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. How are you all doing? Milan Skriniar is someone we're going to be talking about in a moment. We'll also be talking about Pogba in the World Cup. He's dividing opinion as per usual. What else have we got to talk about? Absolutely loads. An interesting insight from inside the camp of training with Jose Mourinho as well. And lots more. And also World Cup, what's going on there? But Ronaldo's better than Messi. Milan Skriniar. I'm not getting into Ronaldo versus Messi. Milan Skriniar, centre-back at Inter Milan, 23 years of age, 6'2". I'll tell you a little bit about him in a moment, but he has effectively confirmed that there is interest from Manchester United in him. We've mentioned him a couple of times on the Transfer Daily, which is at 7 AM every single morning, if you want to watch that. We've got another one for you tomorrow. Some interesting news there. But we have mentioned him a little bit before as a centre-back option, and he's certainly somebody I would like. When you think about, we've been linked to Titi, Jerome Boateng, Alderweireld, Clement Lenglet, Koulibaly at Napoli, but Skriniar seems to be a very interesting one because he's not really somebody who's ever been, massively known about, but United were sort of in for him. There was talk of an Inter Milan rejecting a £60 million bid for him. But no one's really latched onto it. But now Skriniar was speaking to the press and has effectively said that, let me just quote him correctly, I'm really glad that Manchester United are interested, but Inter Milan decided on that and I cannot say any more. I'm satisfied at Inter Milan at the moment. So effectively confirming Manchester United's interest in him, saying that I'm very glad about the interest, but Inter Milan have made their decision and I can't say any more about it, which, reading between the lines very much means that he's flattered that Manchester United are in for him, but Inter Milan have rejected a bid or said, no, he's not for sale, which obviously from a Manchester United point of view, that's a little bit sad, but it does show that we are looking at a centre-back, and I take that as a positive. Probably not going to get Skriniar, but you never know. But certainly shows that there was interest in there from Manchester United, and certainly shows that what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, which wasn't from us, it was from, I think it was from Italian reports, that United had a £60 million bid rejected. So for the player themselves to come out and basically verify that shows that United are looking for a centre-back. And we keep hearing that, there's a short list of centre-backs that Manchester United want. For those people who don't know who Milan Skriniar is, I should just say he's a Slovakian, 23, 6'2", like I said. What a sort of defender is he? Well, he can, and for the under-21s, he has played as a defensive midfielder, but a leader, very elegant on the ball, likes a fight, likes a tackle, very, very strong defender, but leader and good on the ball as well. I mean, I suppose everyone just says he's the next Vidic, but that's probably a little bit unfair because Vidic wasn't particularly brilliant on the ball and this lad has got those skills. So, I mean, whether we're going to sign him or not, I don't know, but certainly he would have been a player that I think would have been really, really good for us. Louise says, I hope we get him. And more than 60 million for a centre-back is mental, says Samuel R. Well, I refer to Liverpool and Virgil van Dijk. It's the going rate at the moment. And if you want to get somebody that a club doesn't want to sell, then that tends to be what happens. I want to talk about Paul Pogba in a minute, but I want to just talk about interesting comments coming out from a United youth player who's now left. Indy Boonen. He's been quoted as saying this, that he did get promoted to train with the first team a few times, but Mourinho was very distant and didn't really speak to you, isolated himself away from the players, apart from a select few players. And he also mentioned Lukaku, which I couldn't really figure out whether he was saying Lukaku was like that or not, but I don't want anything bad to be said about Lukaku. But in relation to Mourinho, said, very distant as a manager and coach, isolated himself away from the players apart from a select few favourites, I suppose, which sort of, that's from an ex-United player who's a youth player who's gone on somewhere else. I don't know whether he's holding a grudge, but we do hear this sort of things about Mourinho, and Mourinho admits he's like that himself. Pogba sort of said it. Pogba said it, didn't he? That I don't have to be best friends with my manager. Mourinho doesn't give me reasons why I'm dropped. But an interesting insight there from a player that's no longer there about Mourinho and his management style. And I think some fans do have a concern about that. I think it's the problem, and I've said this so many times, so it's a bit repetition, but somebody like an Anthony Martial or someone like a Luke Shaw, they clearly do need an arm around their shoulder. And they're just not going to get that from Jose Mourinho. And maybe Michael Carrick and maybe McKenna coming in from the youth setup, they can start to give that sort of reassurance to those sort of players. Because I've said this before as well, life is like a box of chocolates, as Forrest Gump once said. But it is, because you've got people who are just self-motivators. They don't need any support. You've got other people who doubt themselves all the time and need reassurance. You've got people who are in between. You've got moody people. You've got happy people. You've got so many different people. And that's just their personality, not what they're like on the pitch. I mean, you think about it. You could have 4 Lionel Messis, brilliant players. One could be moody. One could be selfish. One could need an arm around the shoulder. And one could be a loner who just does it on their own. All the same footballer, but you've got to manage them in all different ways to get the best out of them. And that's the best way I could describe it, really. 4 Messi clones, but you won't get 4 brilliant Messis on the pitch if you don't manage their personality. And I think from Jose Mourinho, out of those 4 players, the loner he'd probably like, the moody one he could probably work with, but the one who needs an arm around the shoulder, he's not going to be able to deal with. So he's probably only going to get the best out of 2 of those Messis, when he could get the best out of all 4 if he adapted himself to different personalities. And I think that's important, and hopefully that's something that will be addressed with people like Michael Carrick and McKenna coming through, because it's really important. Pankaj, is this you coming out? Oh, well, I don't want to talk about that. Surindra, just talking about Skriniar, he says, you said that Italian centre-backs don't do well in the Premier League. You've sort of beat yourself there, because Skriniar's not Italian. He's not Italian, he's Slovakian, and so yeah, that's the answer to that. Emily Whiten, thanks Emily, she says, why not a proven solid centre-back, not another Lindelof? I suppose, Emily, that's a great point. It depends what you want. What do you want? I mean, do you want United to go and get... I'd like Clement Longley from Sevilla. I'd like Milenkovic, who plays for Serbia. He's playing tomorrow night. Keep an eye out for him. He's at Fiorentina. I like the look of Skriniar at Inter Milan. They're all in their early 20s. Some people would like Boateng, who's going to be 30, or Alderweireld, who's going to be 29. Some people would prefer that, or Koulibaly, who's in between. What would you prefer? I do prefer the younger signing. I do. I must admit that. Why have we still got some deadwood at the club, says John McCauley. We need to start selling players. I agree. We do need to start moving some players on. Yeah. Martin Donkow says, I didn't get a notification. You know what, Martin? YouTube is doing my nutting at the moment. Notifications are just not going out for anybody. All I can say is that the United stand 9 o'clock every night through the World Cup instead of 8 o'clock, and 7 a.m. every morning. You get transfer daily. Other than that, there's not a lot I can do. It's bloody annoying, and it's happening on That's Football as well, and to a lot of other YouTubers. Mini Diver says, if Skriniar's worth 65 million, how much is Varane worth? Probably 90, but he's not going to be sold anyway. Active Dan says that Alderweireld is already 29. Yeah, Jerome Boateng is 30 in September, and we're considering spending 50 million for him. So I would go for Skriniar for 60 million every day of the week. Rish got a notification, which is good. Let's have faith in Lindelof. He could be great, says Sabatashi. I'm hoping we're going to see Lindelof playing for Sweden on Saturday night against Germany, and that's going to be a real test of Lindelof. We didn't get to see enough of Lindelof last year, but I think when he was given a chance, he did well. I really hope he's playing for Sweden on Saturday. If he's over his illness, he'll definitely play, because he's a first choice centre back for them. Anyway, a little bit of a World Cup theme there, but it is going to be a little bit World Cup, but it's also massively about Manchester United. I said this last night and a lot of people liked it, so I'm going to use it as the feed into what I'm about to say. Paul Pogba, but first of all, Manchester United, right? We need to get our act together. We lost the FA Cup final and we were 19 points behind Manchester City. Fred, on his own, is not going to close that gap. We need some big signings this summer, and we need some of the players that we've already got to kick on. I watched France today and I was baffled by Paul Pogba. Absolutely baffled. He actually played well, but he played in a very deep midfield position. In a very deep midfield position that I constantly hear Manchester United fans say, he can't play in a midfield two. He can't play in a midfield two playing deep. Mourinho's an idiot. Oh, Mourinho's wasting Pogba. He can't play in a midfield two. He can't play deep. He's wasting him. And then I watch him for France today and he plays deep in a midfield two with Kante and has a half-decent game. and he's pointing at people, he's tackling, he's up for it, he looks happy in a French shirt. And I'm like, I've never seen Pogba play like this for Manchester United. I've seen him play a little bit like this every now and again in a midfield 3, but never in a midfield 2. He doesn't do this. His head drops. He's not pointing at everybody at all. Now, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say Pogba was brilliant today, because that's a nonsense. The reality is, Peru should have won that game. If they could hit the ocean from a boat, they'd have won that game 2 or 3-1. Pogba did okay. But you can't say Pogba was brilliant today, because Peru dominated that midfield. But he didn't. He played well. He played better than he's played in a midfield 2 for Manchester United, and it just got me thinking, what is going on with Paul Pogba? Because it was a very different Pogba today for France than what we ever see for Manchester United, and it maybe goes back to what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Is it because in France he feels settled? He feels the focal point. He feels like he's the leader. He's got a manager who maybe puts an arm around his shoulder. And that was the conclusion I came to. And it's speculative. I've got no proof to that. But I was massively surprised by Paul Pogba today, because I was like, all season people have been saying, oh, Pogba's got to play here, he can't play there. And I've said, look, if Paul Pogba's the player that he's meant to be, which he's meant to be a world-class elect midfielder, you cannot be world-class if you can only play on the left side of a midfield 3. World-class midfielders can play anchorman midfielder, attacking midfielder, right side, left side, because you're world-class. So you can actually adapt. You can probably even have a game at right back and play well. But you can certainly play in a number of positions. So I never really bought into this Pogba can't play in a midfield 2 for United. I don't think he's performed in a midfield 2, and I think that's why people have said he can't play in a midfield 2. But I think he showed today, especially, and another thing as well I'm going to come to, Kante next to him helps him a lot. Matic next to him doesn't help, because Matic is a good centre defensive midfielder, but he's got no pace. You put Pogba next to Kante today, and suddenly Pogba looks a lot better, because Kante is very quick, and that helps Pogba if he gets pulled out of position. But Pogba can play in a midfield 2. I think that's a failing on Manchester United, and it's a failing on Pogba and Mourinho that they can't get the best out of Pogba in a midfield 2. I mean, like I said, let's not run away with ourselves. Let's not say Pogba was superb today, but it was certainly a better performance than we've seen him in a Manchester United shirt in a midfield 2. And a lot of the time in that game, for anybody who watched France-Peru, Pogba was the deepest midfielder, and Kante was going beyond him. So, and this happened in the Euros as well. A lot of people felt that Pogba was bad in the Euros. He wasn't bad in the Euros. They went all the way to the final. What happened is he was playing deeper, and Deschamps does that with him a lot. Abanaf Shuri says, I think we need a short-term option for defence. We have Bay and Lindelof for future, and we should really consider Mandzukic as a backup striker. You know what? Mandzukic was good today. I'm going to come to that in a moment. Thoughts on Pogba and Fred as a midfield 2, says Christian Del Posa. I don't know, Christian, because where's the defensive element in that midfield 2? That would be my problem there. I mean, Pogba and Fred together, if you were playing a team like West Brom at home, which we won't be because they got relegated, if we're playing a team like Bournemouth at home, Pogba and Fred in midfield 2 could work because we're going to be on the front foot. But in a midfield 2 against a better team, I still think you're going to need a more defensive midfielder. And Fred can do that role and Pogba can do that role, but neither of them are specialist defensive midfielders. So it could work, but I think Pogba works in a midfield 2 when he's got someone quicker alongside him. Even in France midfield 2, he is not stuck with defensive duties. In a United team, he's forced to play more defensive by Mourinho. Abanaf, he is. He was the defensive midfielder today. I'm sorry, I've got to pull you up on that. He was the deepest defensive midfielder today. And if you watch the game, there was no attacking midfield from France. They were on the back foot, especially the second half. It was a defensive display from Pogba, as defensive as he would play for United, because they were on the back foot. Peru absolutely dominated them. So it was a defensive display from him. Fred to replace Matic, says Paul Robinson, but it would never happen. You see, he agrees. We need to get rid of Pogba. He's disrespecting our club, says David Brack. That's interesting. Matic is brilliant. Only Kante is better CDM than Matic in the world today. I must just say as well, link in the video description for Colossus, which is our football jackpot that we did last week, where we won some money. I'll tell you how you can do that in a minute or two. Kante was brilliant today, like two players, Samuel R. They had to work very hard, the midfield. I thought France in general were poor. Griezmann disappeared. But they got lucky with the goal, but they did defend well. They did defend well because apart from one chance, Peru didn't really create a lot. The Pogba and Fred are attacking midfielders, says Dectran. They're not really, they're box-to-box midfielders. Why are all United fans forgetting Herrera so easily, says Fexo Chris? Because Mourinho did it, didn't he? We all liked Herrera this time last year, and Mourinho benched him for most of the season. Ice cold, I don't think that that's failure on Mourinho, because he did say in his opinion a midfield box-to-box plays all over the midfield and defends. Interesting. Lynn Hall, Fred can play CDM well if needed to. And also, on top of that, Paul's right. Mourinho's never going to drop Modric. It's Matic, is he? He's never going to drop Matic in a million years. Please do drop a like on the video, everybody who's watching. I don't know what's going on with notifications at the moment, but YouTube seems to be letting us down a little bit. So for those hardcore people who are watching the videos, remember throughout the World Cup, we are not moving from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Transfer Daily still going up at 7 AM. If you are watching, please do drop a like on the video. It really does make a difference, because we're struggling as a channel at the moment. We're just not getting the views. I don't know what's going on with these notifications. Maybe people are on holiday. Fernandinho is not better, says John Carlos. Anyway, let's talk about Mandzukic there, because the thing about Mandzukic is that is from Di Marzio. And Di Marzio tends to be quite reliable about Manchester United. So Mandzukic to Manchester United starts from Di Marzio. So we must look at it. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but we must look at it as a potential. I watched Mandzukic today, and I watched Mandzukic for Juventus, and I find him a very irritating player for Juventus, because I like Juventus. They're my Italian team, and I find him irritating because he plays off the left a lot. What I like about for Croatia is he plays up front. And he's a bloody handful, to be fair. And you know what? If we're getting rid of Fellaini and Mourinho really does want to have somebody who's tall as an option on the bench, bring him in. If it means Fellaini goes, get Mandzukic. And I don't really mind. To me, it's not what I want. I'd rather we went and got a Mertens or a Hernandez and went totally different. Somebody who's not a bloody long ball magnet. But if Mourinho is adamant that he wants a long ball magnet as to replace Fellaini, then I would take Mandzukic, because I tell you what, he puts himself about a bit, and I do like him. But I tell you what, who I really did like for, and I'm going to go against myself a little bit here. Rebic for Croatia was very, very impressive. Very impressive. Plays for Fiorentina in Italy, and I've said you cannot say because somebody has a good World Cup you shouldn't be signing them. You shouldn't do that, and I agree with that. I'm glad I agree with myself, but I do agree with that, because the World Cup standard is not the same as the Premier League. It's not the same as the Liga, and it's nothing like the Champions League. You're throwing people together, and Messi's the prime example of that. Messi's having a crap World Cup yet again, but he's still going to go back to Barcelona and be one of the best two players in the world by a long way. He still is an absolutely amazing player, Messi. But you put him in an Argentina team with a bunch of strangers who come together for a few weeks, and none of them have got any passion, and he hasn't really, and he looks like, you know, I can't even think of a player bad enough for Messi. He looks rubbish, but he's still one of the best players in the world when he gets back to his week in, week out routine. So the World Cup is a very, very false dawn to start saying, well, he was brilliant in the World Cup, let's sign him, because you've got Messi, the best player in the world, who's crap in the World Cup. So, you know, how does it work? But why I like Rebic, who scored the first goal for Croatia today, is I wanted Perisic to come to Manchester United. And I look at Rebic and he is the same as Perisic. But we can't get Perisic anymore because we blew it last summer and we should have got him. Great speed, hard-working, two-footed, puts a great cross in. He would have been brilliant for United. He really would. I really wanted us to get him, and Woodward didn't deliver for Mourinho. We won't get him now. But Rebic at Fiorentina is the same as Perisic. He's virtually the same height. He's got virtually the same speed. He's got virtually the same skills. He's got the same work ethic. He plays off both feet. And he's 24. I think if Mourinho... It's only a theory, and it's stuck in the video a little bit late on. It's only a theory, but if Mourinho wanted Perisic so much, why not just go and get Rebic from Fiorentina, who probably we could get for 40 or 50 million, who's 24, so there is longevity in it, and he gives you exactly the same as Perisic did. So it's only a theory there, but I base it on the fact that he's ridiculously... It's nothing to do with... I mean, he's doing well in the World Cup, but I based the theory on we should get him because we wanted Perisic, and he's the same player as Perisic, but 5 years younger, so I would like him. Pogba played well today. Only player that made things happen, says Moshin Ashin. I mean, yeah, he did okay. He did okay, and we've discussed that. Messi took Argentina to the World Cup. Of course he can. We've got the Messi sympathisers in. I don't want to get into Messi versus Ronaldo. The reality is Messi can only challenge Ronaldo in a Barcelona shirt. He can't do it in an Argentinian one because he can't be arsed. What about Lukaku, the Lazio version, says Radu Rosa. He's a good player, but he didn't even get picked, did he, for Belgium? When wanted Perisic, Rebic was good tonight and is young, says Lynn Hall. Right, I'm going to take some of your questions now. Just good players who could do a job for Mourinho, says Raza. And you're basing it off the theory you have just watched the World Cup. Oh, Sean Dooley, you've just made your last comment on the United stand because it's a silly comment. And I fully explained that I wasn't basing Rebic's performance on the World Cup. It's nothing to do with that. I watch Italian football. He's a good player and he's exactly the same as Perisic. And it dropped into my mind tonight watching the World Cup that if Mourinho wanted Perisic last summer, he couldn't get him. Why not get Rebic, who is basically the same player with the same attributes, but he's 24. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's nothing to do with what he's done in the World Cup. Ronaldo, I'm not getting into that. Not getting into your Messi, Ronaldo stuff. It's a Manchester United fan channel. Look, Messi was crap tonight and he's going out the World Cup because he can only perform in a Barcelona shirt. That's the fact, isn't it? Ario says that Rebic is going to Dortmund. More than likely. More than likely. I don't know where he's going. I know he's at Fiorentina, but, you know, it wouldn't surprise me. Dortmund are very good at hoovering up talent. Please do drop a like on the video, everyone. We've only got 260 likes. Come on. If you want, there's 1,600 people watching. Smash the like button while I have a sip of tea. What's going on with everybody at the moment? I don't know what is going on with everybody at the moment. If people fell out of love with football. It's like half the world's disappeared. Half the United support has disappeared. Twitter's dead. Facebook's dead. No one's talking about United. And I tell you what, now Fred's done, things are going to happen at United. We're hearing whispers already. Things are happening with United. They are going to get moving. They wanted to get the Fred deal done and get it over the line. Now they'll make some moves in and out. I tell you what I love as well. I love it when people try to tell me things that I know already. Like... we're still live. Bloody hell, I thought I'd lost you then. Argentina are the biggest flops ever. I don't want to talk about Argentina. And I'm talking about Alexandro tomorrow, Kiran. Everyone is watching Love Island. That's what it is. Somebody said this to me last night, but I'd had too many beers. People are watching bloody Love Island. You sad act, you are. Do you think we should be concerned with the progression of transfers at United, says Eric HT. And I can't believe that the pre-season is so close, says Rad. It is very close, straight after the World Cup. World Cup finishes on the Sunday, and on the Saturday we're playing our first game of the US Tour. So there's minimal gap. I mean, basically you've got wall-to-wall football till next May now. We cannot sign just anyone. We need to balance our team, says Isaiah. Do you think that Mata and Herrera will be sold, says Radu? I think there's a chance. Mark, where did you get that poem from? Oh, God, don't talk to me about that, David. And I think United act as sleeping giants during the World Cup. You will hear rumblings until it ends, and I think a flurry will come, says Philip Spatola. Matuidi was actually on the left wing today, Moshin. So he wasn't playing in a midfield 3. He was playing in a midfield 2 with Kante because Matuidi was playing on the left wing. This is the brilliance of Didier Deschamps. You know where I'm going with this. Doesn't take Martial to the World Cup and plays Matuidi as a left winger. There you go. That's your man. People are still going on about Messi. Forget it, mate. Forget it. Look. I know some people love Messi, but he sat you down tonight. He's proved that he can't do it. He can't do it unless he's got a Barcelona shirt on. He can't do it. He's a fantastic player, but he ain't Ronaldo. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. And Ronaldo will win the Ballon d'Or again because he deserves it. Pogba's becoming a modern-day Varane, says Gary Wells. What I would say about Pogba finally is that Pogba is to United what Mourinho is to United. They deserve a third year. But if they get this third year wrong, I don't think there'll be a fourth. They've got to get it right. They've got to get it right. And Jamie Berry says Skriniar is the player I want the most. Him and Bay together could finally build as a solid partnership. I would like it. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but we obviously opened the video about it. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but at least it shows that we're interested in a player like that. And it's very easy to be negative about Mourinho, but if he's looking at a player like Skriniar, that's a real positive for me. It's exactly the sort of player that we should be looking at because he's a good player. Lynn Hall says Bay and Skriniar would be epic together. And this is a Manchester United fan channel. Messi is not the topic. Yes, Manchester United is top. You are right. It is not the topic for tonight. We don't want to be talking about Messi. He's blown it. Let's not talk about it. Let's, you know, he won't want to talk about it either. So leave it out. Leave it out. I'm having problems with my stream tonight. Sam, if you want to talk about Messi and that, then join me on That's Football tomorrow because we've got 3 streams again tomorrow. We're doing all the watch-alongs for the World Cup on That's Football. 1 o'clock tomorrow is Brazil, Costa Rica. We'll talk about Messi on there. I'm more than happy to do that, but I don't really want to cross wires with it. I don't mind talking about the World Cup, but it needs to be United-centric. So Mandzukic, obviously Pogba played today, but I don't want to talk about Messi because Ronaldo is better. Who's going to be the next signing, says Mukal Rish. You know what? I'll answer that question, and I want you lot to answer it in the live comments. Who do you think our next signing is going to be? It's news on Milinkovic-Savic. A couple of people are asking that as well, which I'll answer as well. Our next signing, I think, is a really hard one. It's really hard to say who our next signing is going to be. It's not going to be who you want it to be, I don't think. And I think it's going to be a shock who our next signing is going to be. I think some of our signings are playing in the World Cup. That's the problem. Milinkovic-Savic, I don't think we're going to get. I think he's going to have a good World Cup and he's going to price himself out of United and Juventus. And I think he'll go to Real Madrid. If he continues to have a good World Cup, he'll go to Real Madrid. And anyway, Milinkovic-Savic deal won't be done till the back end of July because what's going to happen is he's going to finish the World Cup. He's going to go on holiday. And Lazio are going to play everybody against everyone to get the best fee they can. So that deal won't happen till back end of July anyway. United's next signing, probably Fellaini's contract. As sad as that sounds, it probably will be. Willian says Viper, Willian won't happen till the end of July either for the same reason. He'll be part of the Brazilian World Cup team. He'll have his holiday. And then if we are going to get him, we'll get him done at the end of the month of July. Because he's Premier League proven, so it won't matter too much anyway. Thanks everyone who's dropping a like on the video. We've nearly hit 500 likes, which is great with how many people we've got watching. Really appreciate that. Tony Cruz says, I'd love Tony Cruz. You know, I mean, that's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because if Milinkovic-Savic goes to Real Madrid and they sell Cruz and United get Cruz, would you rather that scenario or would you rather we got Milinkovic-Savic? I still, as ridiculous as this sounds, I would still rather get Milinkovic-Savic because I'd still rather have Skriniar over a Boateng. I'd rather get the up-and-coming talent than the established talent. But you wouldn't complain if we got Cruz, would you? He's a fantastic player. Which also reminds me, there was some silly little thing going around earlier on about United swapping Pogba for Bale and money. Now, I spoke about it this morning and said I would swap Pogba for Ronaldo straight. I would, because Ronaldo's brilliant. But I wouldn't swap Pogba for Bale, and I certainly wouldn't give him money for it either. That would be thick. That would be stupid. I wouldn't do that, because Bale's not Ronaldo, so I wouldn't do that. I'd love Modric, says Bjorn Lundberg. Again, Real Madrid would be stupid to let Modric go. Absolutely stupid. He is one of the best midfielders in the world. You would be absolutely stupid. And he was brilliant today. The goal was brilliant, but the way he ran the midfield in what was a battle game, that's where the top players come through. I'd love James Rodriguez, Kevin O'Callaghan. I would love James Rodriguez. It is possible, but I just don't think Mourinho really wants him. Few people saying they love Pogba. Few people saying they don't love Pogba. Okay. Right. Pogba for Bale would be great. And Griezmann or Bale, Mark? Bale. I can't stand Griezmann anymore after what he did. I cannot stand Antoine Griezmann anymore. Modric is the best midfielder in the world, says Abernaf. And a lot of people giving Modric a lot of love. He was brilliant tonight. I mean, this isn't United related, but I loved that performance tonight. I think the World Cup the last couple of days has gone off the boil a little bit, but it came back to the boil tonight. Croatia, such a strong team. I think Croatia is what Mourinho would like to do. And if Mourinho could do that with United, I wouldn't have a problem. Because Croatia are basically what Mourinho wants. Strong, run-through-brick-wall players, strong mentality, but can hit teams on the break, can move the ball around well. That is probably, Croatia are probably the team that Mourinho wants. That strong mentality, strong defence, well organised, good on the ball, hit teams on the break. And if we had a team like that, I'd be very proud of it. But unfortunately, Mourinho's got the organised team that can't pass the ball well and can't hit teams on the break, which makes it frustrating for us. But I want a team to win the World Cup that's not won the World Cup before. That would make me very, very happy. Very happy indeed. Rebic has gone to Frankfurt, actually, says Luis van Gaal. Well, there you go. He was at Fiorentina. Knowing our luck, Liverpool will probably sign Lozano and we will get Willian, says Liam Q. And K Sander fans just tuned in late. What's going on? Just very, very quickly to summarise, Milan Skriniar, who's a centre-back, who's 23 at Inter Milan. He's 6'2", leader, good on the ball, strong. He's basically been interviewed and said that he's basically... it's great that United are interested in him, but Inter Milan have made a decision on that and he can't say any more. And Inter Milan's decision, as we know from a couple of weeks ago, because it all fits in now, was to reject a £60 million bid from Manchester United. So looks like we're in for Skriniar. Looks like he'd be interested in coming if Inter Milan wanted to sell, but doesn't look like it's going to happen, which is a bit of a shame. And then we spoke about Pogba and all the stuff which you can catch up on as well. Anyway, thanks everyone who's smashed the like button. Just got something I'm going to play for you now, which is in relation to Colossus, which is our World Cup syndicate thing that we did last week, which went really well. If you're interested in it, I'm just going to play it for you now. Hello everybody, and some good news to start off with. The last Colossus syndicate we did for the World Cup, we managed to cash out 4 times what we bet, which is fantastic. And we're now number 4 on the Colossus leaderboard. For those people who don't know what it's all about, the Colossus syndicate is the first crowdfunding syndicate I've seen for football betting. So we can fund our own bets as a team and all be in it together. So if my selections win, we all win together. If you like the look of my new 15 World Cup match predictions, then join and crowdfund the certificate. We need to fill the tickets before the bet goes live, and then we're in for a chance to win a share of £800,000. If you're new to Colossus, all you need to do is sign up using my RAF code, which is the United Stand, and you'll get a free play into a solo jackpot of your choice too. You can't use it just to join a syndicate though, that's only on the free play. About Colossus, remember you must be over 18 years of age to play, and always gamble responsibly. And this is how the Colossus Syndicate works. Navigate to the Syndicates tab. If you go to the leaderboard button, you'll see we're currently 4th this week. You can click on my new syndicate and see my selections there. At the top, you'll see the amount the syndicate is playing for, and when you scroll down, you'll see the match selections made for that particular Colossus jackpot. A syndicate can increase the chance of winning the jackpot by having more than one selection in a match. So we might select a draw or a win. You can contribute from as low as 20 pence. As I said, we need to fill that syndicate, but once it's filled, you can't enter it. Once you've contributed, you'll own a percentage of that syndicate and we'll be able to see what you're playing for. Lastly, as I said, the ticket needs to be filled for it to go live. So share it with friends and get them involved too. Colossus offers a cash out between matches and even consolation prizes. So if we just miss out on one wrong result, we will still go for a share for a similar prize. You can join me in the link below by searching for the United Stand in the Syndicates tab. Share with your mates and let's get involved. Like I said, the last one we did, we cashed out just before I think it was one of the games we cashed out. We got the first couple right and then we cashed out and we actually managed to times our jackpot by 4. Our betting stake by 4. So get involved with the fun. We're going well at the moment. Number 4 in the leaderboard and we want to move up. Thanks everybody for watching tonight. Thanks for everybody who watched that. If you're interested, the link's in the video description. Did really well last week, and we cashed out and took 4 times what we put, what our stake was. So have a go at that if you want to. A little bit of fun over the World Cup. Back tomorrow, 7 AM, Transfer Daily. Got an interesting story that I don't think many people will have latched onto because I do my research. But I just need to do a little bit more checks on it first to make sure it's legit. 7 AM tomorrow, Transfer Daily. And then 9 o'clock tomorrow night, we're live as per usual, which will be after the Serbia game, which is Milinkovic-Savic. If you want to watch World Cup watch-alongs, we're doing that on That's Football as well. Thanks everyone for watching tonight. Thanks everyone who's dropped a like on the video. Thanks everybody who is watching and supporting the United Stand through these quiet month because of the World Cup, I think, and Love Island. I'll speak to you all soon. You're absolutely fantastic, and thanks for watching.